always the maps, even in the lunch break. But it is not merely driving himself for the sake of driving himself. It is part of a very deliberate method of working. First, he listens to anyone who approaches him with a problem. Then he makes himself take time to think about the problem on his own. He will then propose a plan. Sometimes he will suggest a scheme to the government and leave them to implement it. Sometimes he will start an experimental project which he will initially finance himself. Increasingly, his pilot schemes are developed for general use throughout the country. There is often a lot more walking than this. Before the days of helicopters, much more walking still. Many of the villages can only be reached after walks of 3 or 4 hours. It is necessary to keep fit. The Queen can swim a mile without discomfort. All the royal family jog regularly, the King most often late at night after finishing work. Their energy is physical as well as mental. It has now been discovered that the north of Thailand can grow a vast variety of crops. Coffee is one of them, and coffee growing is developing rapidly. The King is now visiting a Meo village. The Meo are the largest in numbers of the hill tribes. There are about 50,000. Which are subdivided into green Meo, black Meo, white Meo, red Meo, and striped Meo, so called from the colors of their skirts. Not all these subdivisions live in Thailand. As with other hill tribes, they are also found in Burma. The hill tribes of Burma and Thailand have far more in common with each other than either do with the countries in which they have been deemed citizens by map-drawing politicians. Up here, the King has worked very hard to encourage them to abandon their nomadic life and settle down as Thai citizens. The spotter aeroplane is always overhead in case of trouble. The problem with this country and so much of the north is not naturally poor soil, but erosion. The semi-nomadic tribes slash and burn the forests, cultivate their own patch until the soil is exhausted, and then move on to destroy more of the valuable teak forests. The erosion of the hills is causing floods in the plains. The main traditional crop of all the hill tribes is the opium poppy. The juice is extracted from the unripe fruit. Care must be taken not to slit right through, or the juice will flow inside and be lost, and also stop the seeds from ripening. Most of the opium is processed into heroin, but very little of the huge profits that the city middlemen get come back to the poor peasants who grow and smoke the opium. These people have smoked opium for centuries. They see nothing wrong with it. Indeed, it has been said that this kind of opium smoking is hardly more harmful than smoking tobacco. Furthermore, it is often used as a painkiller. The King refuses to punish the hill tribesmen as lawbreakers. Instead, he is very concerned to persuade them to grow alternative crops which can be more profitable than poppies. The King conjectured that the flowers and fruit trees of the temperate zone could be grown successfully in these upland regions of Thailand. He put experts to work, and it was discovered that he was right. Whether it be flowers such as carnations or fruit such as apples, peaches and strawberries, the produce will sell for far less in Bangkok than imports from Europe or America, and yet still earn the hill tribesmen a greater profit than they would get from opium. They even export bulbs to Holland. Schemes have also been started whereby plants are grown to a certain stage in these cooler uplands, which makes for stronger stock, and then transplanted to the plains, where they mature more rapidly in the greater heat. Such schemes, started by the king, are now backed by the United Nations as part of the war on drug production. They not only increase the hill tribes' prosperity, but also increase the opportunities for cooperation between the hill tribes and the Thais who live on the plains below them.
Isn't it true that most of the heroin, which is smuggled out of Thailand, actually comes across the border from Laos and Burma, and whatever you do with your projects, you still can't control that?
The role project can do to not to stop but to improve the situation is that so that the people here, many of them are the hill tribes, they have friends or they have relatives all over the route from Yunnan to Tibet and down to our country here. It's a long way and they walk. They have communication, very good communication. Apart from what you can see in the mountains, there's something you cannot see. It's the spirit of these people. They come and go and they say that there's the King's project. They spread the information. They are better than the information service of Bangkok. If we postulate that the opium is grown outside of this country and the heroin factories are outside of this country, only the trade comes through. Why should we go on helping these people to grow lettuces, if you want, or strawberries? Well, we have the opium or the narcotics problem is only one, as I told you at the beginning, it's only one of the aspect of the problem or say the task we have. The other task is to give these people a better way of life. So this we continue, even if, and I don't think it is very near future, if the opium is eradicated like smallpox has been. We have to continue this program for a long time so that we give these people a better life and also so that everyone will get the benefit of it.
Is the king's life at great risk on these trips? A member of the royal family, Princess Wipawadi Ransit, while travelling by helicopter to a remote village, was shot down by insurgents and killed. The king's helicopter is painted in conspicuous colours. Princess Sirinthorn told us, the insurgents shoot up the village on the day before we arrive and the day after we leave, but not on the day of our visit. That's how it is at the moment, anyhow. The royal family use helicopters to visit the more isolated parts of Thailand. Frequently on such visits, they perform life-saving service by removing sick people to hospital, or in the case of a border raid such as this, lifting out the dead and wounded. The king's work among the peasants takes him closer and closer to sharp personal danger. One day, perhaps, there will be communist insurgents who would not care much about murdering a king. There is all sorts of danger, anyhow. Vietnamese troops on the border, communist subversion inside the country, and refugees in their hundreds of thousands putting strain on those who have to feed them, and offering ideal cover for communist infiltrators. One of the king's many hobbies is firearms, and amongst other things, he has designed a gun mounting for helicopters. Is the time coming when he will have to put this knowledge to practical use?